Hello there and welcome along. The Gardener Ben here with your next rose review and a celebration rose for you today. Bred and introduced by Fry's Roses in 2001. Available here in the UK through Peterbilt's Roses. This very striking crimson ruby red rose is Happy Ruby Wedding. Now, a lot of these commemorative roses are really very difficult. There are quite literally dozens of them celebrating very similar names. This one is Happy Ruby Wedding, and obviously the gift that you would give to somebody to help them celebrate 40 years of marriage. Celebrating 40 years is no mean feat whatsoever in today's modern terms, and you expect a rose to be good to go with it. This one is really quite exceptional, with a very strong and exceptional, I wouldn't say ruby red, because I would say that ruby for me sparkles, but it does have the lovely deep red colour that you would expect from a rose given this name. Growing to around 2.5 to 3 feet high and around 2.5 to 3 feet wide, this is the perfect gift for planting in a large patio container or right very close to the front of a border or a patio. So if the people that you're giving this one to as a gift have reached a certain time of their lives and mobility is an issue, the kind of thing that you can grow in a large container. And even better with this one, as you can see, it is a hybrid tea, displaying some of the really nice characteristics of a hybrid tea rose, and one of those is long, straight, sturdy and very cuttable stems, which means if the person you're giving this to or people that you're giving this to no longer have a huge amount of mobility, you can actually cut the flowers and bring them in where they can enjoy them inside the house in a vase, maybe next to a chair or on a nightstand, producing one singular flower per stem on lovely, strong and upright stems facing the sky. This particular rose has that wonderful hybrid tea spiral. Now let's find a really perfect bloom and bring one nice. That one is absolutely perfect for this. So let's bring this really nice and close to the camera. You can see here that lovely hybrid tea swirl right in the very center there. Those petals curling back on themselves and towards that central stem, giving plenty of texture and ruffles to the actual flower itself. The flowers measuring some 3 to 3.5 inches in diameter, but that is that lovely telltale traditional hybrid tea swirl in the very center, which makes most people sort of melt. Now a particularly old style of rose, now being replaced by a heavier cup with more petals, but this hybrid tea flower standing up to wind and rain well. Quite a thick and coarse petal, so holding itself in a vase really nicely as well, with a nice strong neck, meaning it cuts well and holds itself up nicely in a vase. This particular one has a really nice color combination, and we've been talking so far about its really lovely ruby red, strong pillar box red color, but it's really the combination of this one and its foliage which makes it nice. A very dark, strong, smoky grey hue to the foliage, bringing the whole plant together to give it a really sort of dark, mysterious and lovely sort of smoky look. That lovely ruby red flower paired with that smoky grey-green foliage, which is really quite nice. Even so far as the colour is mirrored along the stems and along the barbs, which a lot of you will think, oh, that's not a particularly nice counter thing to point out, but brings it together in a whole package together, which I think the colours go really nicely together. The thorn count is relatively high. You can see the barbs there on the stem, moving all the way up to literally just below the stems for the flowers themselves. So you will need to debarb this, especially if you're bringing this in for a family member or friend of a certain age. So you want to knock these thorns off just to make it safe to handle. But that lovely burnt burgundy red tinge even mirrored along the leaf axil there as well. So giving everything a really nice colour combination. In a vase, this one is going to stand up quite nicely for about 4 to 6 days, so it cuts really quite nicely. That lovely, I can't keep looking at it, keeps catching my eye, that lovely telltale swirl in the very centre. Reminding people of my age of sort of the Beauty and the Beast rose held underneath its glass cabinet, that really lovely swirl in the very centre there. Disease resistance, I'm going to be awarding this one a 6 out of 10 for disease resistance. You are going to have to watch your watering. Not particularly prone to black spot or mold, but it does tend to drop its leaves ever so slightly. So do make sure that you keep up with your watering and make sure you feed it well, especially because this one flowers really strongly through June, July, August, September, and even if you are lucky, into October and the very beginning of November. So repeating well all the way through the summer months. Meaning if you do give this one as a gift for someone celebrating something very special, you're going to know it's working really hard for you. Lacks a little bit in the fragrance department for me, I'm afraid. It's a little sweet edge there and a little bit of pollen and nectar, and again that fresh nicotine smell which I pick up on a lot of hybrid teas. But nothing really to write home about. I'm going to be awarding Happy Ruby Wedding a 2 out of 10 for fragrance rating today. Available here in the UK through Peterbilt's Roses and bred by Fry's. A really lovely, bold and striking rose, even if you're not celebrating a ruby wedding anniversary. If you're looking for a powerful punch of colour for the midsection of the border, this one is hardy in zones 6 through 11 and is Happy Ruby Wedding.